Daily trading recap. Let's get after it today on this Wednesday, the 18th of May, 2022. Man, hard red day on the overall markets. 4% in the red we're showing here on SPY overall. To Christ be the glory always. Let's go over dollar volume quick first before the day's ongoings. NASDAQ $256 billion volume as of 43 minutes after close here. NYSE $373 billion volume. OTC's $1.8 billion volume. On the day, all automated algorithmic future strategies working out very well today, but just, yeah, of course, in hindsight, it's always tough to reflect on days like this and think, man, it would have been nice to even just been holding one micro ES contract short this whole entire day to be sitting through there, but I can't say that I even would have been in that space to do that whatsoever, and that's just a totally irrational. That's that lottery ticket mindset of like, oh, if I had done this, or kind of fantasizing that way and just playing with numbers that way. But I was even trying to buy the dip here in a sense on a few times with MES contracts of buying here in this little range of it kind of just producing a little bit, but then coming back too short. Not hard enough of a bounce for me to feel convinced that there's going to be anything to fruition from that. And then another one as we were getting a little bit of a curl here around this 1015, 1020-ish range. Thought we were going to potentially test closer back to VWAP and then maybe have a little attempt closer to the opening price range here, but just that came to no avail either. So hitting my stop on that one. So fooling around a little bit with MES plays on there, taking a few points loss on that side, but downside profit target strategy working out well today, obviously, and the very small micro scalp upward side move on the long side that I have for the futures contracts as well. That was really the only opportunity was right away pretty much at the open of the session, which was yesterday for today's session. But that was nailed me out quick and then got me a nice big old bowl of popcorn for just crazy down move right today. So looking on the daily, it's just absolutely putting us right back close to that previous little dip bottom low here that happened on the 12th of this month. So we'll see if more continuation or harder downside will continue to come in these next few days, but just really in overall reality, I still have not been touching equities in a long time, and I really doubt that I will. Just trying to keep myself fresh and just, not even fresh, but just kind of get away from it a little bit. I think I just dug myself into a little bit too much of a peg hole and forcing my ideas on trades and just continuing to bash my head against the wall with nothing really coming out profitable that way. So also maintaining the similar perspective just in the overall sense of trading with what I do with these little micro ES contracts of not involving myself too much or too hard. I don't want to be in front of the screens for long for these months of May, June, July, maybe even a little bit of August. I could see it picking up in August, but for these summer months, yeah, I heavily want to focus on broadening myself horizontally and not just involving myself so in depth as I used to. Of course, I always want to get deeper into things, and even in the times I was kind of quote unquote going hard in my own opinion but back to the basics of it, yeah, I just don't want to be forcing it so hard in these months and I want to give myself that little bit of a breather and escape from that little bit of a rut or just kind of groove I was stuck into because it wasn't profitable. And it wasn't like I was finding my niche as a trader in that. I was just always exploring and just kind of continuing to go that road. But I think it's time for a little bit of that pull back and say, hey, can we expand a little bit more horizontally, or can we try some different routes? We can obviously still go that same route. I think there is still some viability in everything I do, but it's just about understanding, hey, which is the best way for me to go personally, what fits my personality as a trader and what is going to fit in this marketplace right here, right now. I think that was a good thought that I had, whether today or some other day too, but just of reading through the Market Wizards books and all these different types of people, and then even just reading of normal basic people that are absolutely nailing of the knowledge of other successful traders as of right now. Just a thought of the kind of broad spectrum thought. If you took them and placed them in a different era, would they still be producing similar results, or would they still be the exact same trader? It's just a weird kind of philosophical thing to think about of, is it just kind of the luck of the draw of their personality with the exact time frame and decade that they're in, that, okay, they found success and now we kind of bow at them and try to learn as much as we can from them. But in reality, would that style of trading, would that success have been repeatable if you took them and placed them out 2 decades earlier or 2 decades later, for whatever that holds? It's just a totally unexperimentable, like just an idea, a thought of, is it just totally about finding your way in this market and kind of just sucking it up and saying, hey, you know what, there's no real strategies that fit my basic personality, or that I haven't found them as of yet? Is it that type of philosophy that whatever your decade or whatever time frame you're in for this period of trading and overall stock market, that's just where you're at? Or is it totally hey, everybody and anyone can master these markets? And master, of course, loose quotes on that, but anybody and everybody in any time period can come to the markets and find an edge some way, somehow. That I still believe and hold on to that philosophy, and that's certainly what I'm doing every single morning and trying to attempt to do as well. And based on the proof that multiple people, and I would say millions of other people, the small percentage though of that can do it, and it can be done. So just continuing to find that, look for that, search for it over and over again each and every single day, not trying to take any more than what is offered, but just be a part of what is the few little nickels in front of the steamroller each and every single day. That's what I'm chasing after. But broad spectrum thoughts there. I just love to kind of chat about it with my only friend here of my camera. It's so sad. But yeah, going to continue to pound hard with these automated strategies, small scalpy to the upside. At least for the meantime, that's what the backtesting data is saying. And then harder, bigger profit target to the downside there, to be able to average out for the losers like I took yesterday on that harder loss. Just going to continue to play the hit rate of the strategy, and when it says it's not going to work anymore, then say, okay, let's cool it back, or let's at least pull off the gas at least a little bit. Maybe we can still go one MES contract if it's still suggesting some amount of profitability. But I like that opportunity with the specific periods of data that I'm collecting of 100 days back, 50 days back, and 4 weeks back, that I can validate these specific strategies and these profit targets just totally based off of, hey, is there high conviction on each one of these timeframes? If so, then I definitely want to be pushing it harder versus, okay, in the past 4 weeks, this strategy really hasn't been suggesting a huge amount of opportunity, but still within these last 100 days, there is still some amount of viability to this strategy. So, maybe we can throw a little bit of size on it, maybe one MES contract, 2 MES contracts to try and play it out, but don't be pushing it so hard versus, okay, 50-day and 20-day are suggesting that it is a pretty viable strategy, but the 100-day hasn't said that it is a all steam ahead blowout strategy. So maybe it's just something still brewing, or something that's accumulating some legs underneath it, and maybe we can start to test it a little bit with that same similar size mindset. And as it starts to accumulate more on that 100-day time frame as well, then we can begin to push it harder and leverage it more that way, just following the flow of what the market trend sentiment is. And that's kind of my philosophy with all of these is not just holding myself to one specific profit target level, one specific stop out point, all these different variables, but of just hey, I've got the data here. Let's see what the data says for this market ecosystem. Are we more downside biased? Are we more upside biased? I could see it totally differently. I don't have the data. That'd be fun little backtesting to just kind of play with those figures in the hot 2020 market. Would it be suggesting that, hey, if you put a profit target, if you get long right at the session open there, and you put a profit target in at 30 points above there, and if it doesn't hit it, then you just close yourself out at the end of the session, where would you end up at? I could see that as being a totally profitable strategy in that point in time, maybe even a higher profit target there. But yeah, those are the type of variables that I play around with, of just, I'm not set in stone on one specific stop loss or profit target parameter. I'm just totally in flow with the market. If it doesn't say that, really, if it's just such a chop fest both ways, that it's either one hard trend day the other way, or one hard trend days either way, or if it's just total chop fest, that's kind of what I'm here for. It's just total chop fest and volatility all around, because we want to be hitting each and every price level and not have to be picking direction correctly with these automated algorithmic trading strategies. But it's just totally based on all the data and following the flow of what the market is saying. If it's saying that nothing is popping right now, then I'm okay. I'm totally fine with that. I have to be fine with it. I just don't have to touch it whatsoever. But if there is something that is showing it does have some legs and viability, then let's take some stabs at it there. And I'm taking stabs at it like I did yesterday, of stabbing myself in the freaking stomach by just sizing up, of course, randomly. And those are the hard days, but also those are the days that have to happen for these types of strategies to play out. And the trade itself is not one day. It is not one trade, even though it does look like I'm closing out a trade on that day. That is not the finishing P&L of that trade. It is based over weeks, months, years that I want to be continuing to pursue these style of market trend plays played out in intraday. I think is the best way to put it that way. So lots of rambling, lots of all over the place Michigas there, but yeah, that was the day today. Thankful for it. Thankful for you guys watching. We will catch you guys on the next one.